You know what to do. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Once a month, here we go, Dr. Jen. She is so popular in the classroom because everybody knows that when she comes on, they're going to learn some new truths about health. Maybe health that we didn't even know about. Like, for example, how to do a cleanse and how to try EVOX and how to do ZYTO and just our lymphatic system and cancer. But today we're going to be talking about other people that you listen to and other people that have maybe a difference of opinion or maybe have something totally different that you've never heard before, and it's brand new, not just a difference of opinion. And so Dr. Jen wanted to, look at the trends that are out there, the health trends, and maybe talk about whether they're fact or fiction. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Jen is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Jen. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely.
About today.
So what? I'm sorry?
I said I'm excited about today.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of discounts that you're going to be giving, a lot of things that are new that we've not talked about before. So everybody, not only listen in, if you have a question, type in a Q, write your question down, share this video with your friends right away, because as you know, this is information that social media doesn't want you to know. So you do your part by sharing it, tagging it, do whatever you can, call your friends, let them know that Dr. Jen is in the classroom. So let's get started because there's a lot to talk about. What made you want to, because you and your team got together and said, let's discuss this in the classroom because it's something that's important. Why was it important? Are you seeing trends that are damaging or that maybe are not getting out there?
Right. Well, yeah, Lillian, you can go online, spend 10, 15 minutes and leave just totally confused and not knowing what to do. And so that's something that I think is a real issue and frustration that a lot of our viewers are feeling. Because if you go in and you type in, vitamin C, is it beneficial, or iodine, you'll get so many mixed reports. So how do you know what's truth and what's not? There's so many people just putting their opinions on the web with no facts to back it up. And what kills me is that they don't even care to defend, their thought or their theory. And and these are professional people. And so you really have to dig. And it's really, as a professional, I'm doing research all the time. And it's difficult for me to find truth on the web. And so I want to just kind of help people and just kind of get rid of some of the myths of things that I have really researched myself. And hopefully will help people, because a lot of these are leading to this misinformation, if you want to call it, is leading to people's health declining drastically. And so, yeah, so we're going to talk about some of the main topics that a lot of my clients have brought to my attention, that, they've heard me say something and then they go online to research and then they hear something else. And I mean, they'll get 4 or 5 different opinions that are all conflicting. So yeah, let's figure out what's true and what's not true.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we would have this conversation, because it's not necessarily that it used to be that I would say you can't argue facts. And the reality is, the facts that we see, or what is interpreted as facts on the internet, may be somebody else's hearsay, or a fact changer, a fact, what do you call it? Checker, a fact checker, who has no idea what they're checking. I mean, I've been told that I'm spreading misinformation. Yeah, I'm sure you've been told you're spreading misinformation. But when you look at science, and that was another thing that I've been told, you can't argue with science. Well, yes, you can. You can argue with science, because what is it? 9 out of 10 doctors agree with whatever science will put money in their pocket. So that is, we've got to be very careful when we discern. So let's start with, first, before we get started, discernment. How do we know it's fact? How do we know that your facts are the facts and somebody else's facts are not the facts?
You have to look at all of the research combined. And so many times they will cancel each other out. So let's say, for instance, just with the first topic that we're going to talk about, which is iodine, we have this belief that we don't need iodine. Everybody has plenty of iodine. Why would you take iodine? We've not had an iodine issue since the 1940s. And so a lot of people still believe that. Doctors don't prescribe it based upon 2 doctors' research back in the 1944, I think is when it was. 2 guys did an animal study and they misinterpret their research. And Dr. Abraham actually went back later, I think in the 1960s, and he looked at that research, because doctors, from just those 2 guys submitting that research, they stopped prescribing iodine. And so come to find out, they just did not interpret the data correctly. And so Dr. Abraham actually dismissed it with a 4,000 patient study. And they could never reproduce the animal study that these other 2 doctors did. So it actually, they were interpreting that there was a toxic level of iodine in the mice, because it was no longer being absorbed by the thyroid, but it was that the thyroid had met its saturation. And so they just started, because it was such a minute amount, they just started telling doctors and the public not to take iodine because there's a toxic effect of it.
Wow.
And so we only had about, when we were supplementing with iodine, we only had about 3% of the population deficient in iodine. Okay, before we supplemented with iodine, there was about a 30% population deficient of iodine. It was at pandemic proportions. And that is why they started putting iodine in table salt and, things like that. But we're going to talk today about, why people are deficient now, because we're back up to almost 30% iodine deficiency in the US and worldwide.
Wow. So 30%, we used to be 3% before we discovered that we had an iodine deficiency. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And then when we had an iodine deficiencies before around 1940, probably 1930, 1940 to 1950. So there was a lot more chronic illnesses developing. So they did the research. They found that most of the population, or 30% of the population, was iodine deficient. Then they started supplementing, and they brought that 30% down to 3%. Got it.
In the 1970s, we had about 3% of the population was iodine deficient. Well, then these doctors, submitted this study. They just jumped on this bandwagon, everybody, and just took it as actual fact, truth, and they stopped prescribing it. Now we're back down to about 30%, over 20% of the population. I would say probably around 30, because they're not even testing for iodine deficiency. It could even be higher because of lack of testing. But yeah, it's a real problem, because when you understand what iodine does for the body, and not just for the thyroid, even though it's the dominant organ, it's going to absorb first and primary, go to the thyroid, then, but every cell in the body needs it, so that deficiency leads to thyroid disease, thyroid cancer. It can lead to the increase of breast cancer, the miscarriages, the birth defects, all of that can be back to, and that's what we were seeing before in our population when we were at 30% deficiency.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned testing. So let's talk about testing. I know that you're an expert in testing and looking at numbers and discerning what needs to happen at that point. So what is the proper way of testing for iodine?
So there's different ways. You can do, most studies will look at urine levels in the iodine and urine levels. There's hair analysis that can be done to measure your minerals and things like that. But the easiest way for the population to test for themselves without expensive lab test is to use Lugol's iodine.
Okay.
And you just put a drop on your skin and you see how long it takes your body to absorb it. So if it takes 24 hours before you see that it's absorbed, completely gone, then your body's saturated and you don't need to supplement with iodine. But most people, I have seen in my practice, it's gone in 3 to 4 hours. They're extremely deficient and they need to supplement. So it depends on how much you supplement based upon how quickly it's absorbed.
So I put a drop, when I put it on my skin, it just remains as a bubble. So
okay. Yeah, so I'll show you how to do it.
Do show and tell?
Yeah, show and tell. You just put it on a cotton ball. Take it, and on a light part of your skin, you just rub it in, and then it's yellow. And then you just watch it. So you write down the time that you applied it to your skin. And you want to make sure that if it's not yellow enough, like you can't see it clearly enough. Just
because I couldn't see that, Dr. Jen.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah. Hey, Robert, can you get me the Lugol stuff? Can you get that for me, please? Because I want to do it too. I want to do that too. Okay.
So now it's on my skin so I can see, and then I would just write down the time that I applied it. And every hour I just look at my arm and it'll get less and less. But like I said, if it lasts for 24 hours, then you're saturated. You don't need any more iodine, because too much iodine will cause rapid heart rate. It has a toxicity level. And so that's where people get really fearful of iodine, because they will overdose on it. And so your body doesn't make iodine, so you have to get it from your nutrition. So, when they put all these chemicals and contaminants in our food, they compete for absorption. And so iodine will get knocked out. So there's a lot of preservatives and things that they put in our breads, where they've used different types of, they're called, what are they called? They're called a certain type of iodine. A certain type of ion.
Okay.
Which is the same as fluoride and bromide, and all that. They all compete with iodine. And so they're in our water source. And that's when they started putting that in the water source, you started seeing more and more deficiency of iodine.
So
too.
it depletes it when there's that and we're taking showers. We're taking showers,
swimming in, pools that have chlorine. Chlorine is one of the top ones. But the fluoride that's in our drinking water, when they really started depleting iodine levels in patients. And so that's continued, that's been going on. And then they shifted from an iodide in the bread, in the flour industry. They changed it to a very toxic preservative that's similar, but it's not the same. And it's competing. So if you eat a lot of breads and grains, it's going to compete with the iodine and strip you of iodine as well. So there's a lot of things in our diet that we're just not aware of, taking out iodine. Mercury, if you have mercury fillings in your mouth, it competes with iodine and becomes, toxic. So yeah, so there's, so no wonder there's an increase in, it's been linked to this increase of breast cancer in younger and younger women. Right now, the highest incidence of breast cancer is from age 17 to 30. I mean, I believe that it's partly due to this iodine deficiency. You see more and more women with fibrocystic breast, developing uterine fibroids. I mean, the list goes on. And then with Hashimoto's, you're seeing massive numbers increase with the Hashimoto's. So, and again, like I said, even though you just need a little bit, the thyroid's going to try to get it first, because if the thyroid doesn't pick up the iodine, if it doesn't have enough, then it doesn't matter about all the other cells, because the metabolic process is going to be shut down, because you have to have iodine for the thyroid to produce T3, T4. So so there's three parts of thyroid hormone production. So the hypothalamus secretes a hormone that, stimulates the pituitary. The pituitary secretes TSH, which helps the stimulation of the thyroid to release the T3, T4. And so that is T3, T4 is with many, many metabolic processes in the body. And so you can't function without it. Now, all the other cells of the body need iodine too. So you can just imagine, when you don't have this one critical, one critical nutrient, how much of a ripple effect it has on the body and all the other systems. It helps, if you don't have enough, it causes a lot of neurological issues. It causes a lot of hormone issues, a lot of digestive issues. And so what are the complaints that we're getting from our clients every day? Is I've got hormone issues, digestive issues, have no energy, I can't think straight, I now have been diagnosed with an autoimmune, I now have a chronic disease. What do you expect? And that's just one of the critical nutrients.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when you test this, and let's say you do it manually and you test it, because I've done this before and I didn't know about the cotton swab. I just was told to put a drop on it. And I would just sit there and watch this drop, and eventually I would just let it run up down my arm. But then, do you see once you don't see any color, or if there's any color? Any color,
yeah.
Okay.
Once it's completely absorbed is when you check to see how many hours it's been between the application and the absorption.
Okay, so I'll have to do that.
It's best to do it first thing in the morning, so you can kind of monitor it throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do it at night, and then by morning it's gone, but they don't know how quickly it was absorbed. So,
Well, Dr. Jen, I know that you see a lot of patients. So I like to know the other side also. Let's say somebody decides that they're going to be taking iodine because they heard that iodine's best for them. And what are some of the dosing? How do you know what to dose? And what would happen? Because I know what happens if you have too much vitamin C, you get stomach upset or diarrhea, which to me is much easier or better for me than an overdose on drugs, that might kill in my life.
Right.
So let's talk about iodine and, what's the dosing? And how do you know that you're getting to that point where you've oversaturated yourself? And what are the
Yeah.
side effects?
So one of the main things with iodine when you get oversaturation is rapid heart rate. Not everybody experiences that though. So that's not, most of the population will experience that. So you will start to feel anxious and your heart will start to race. That's typically your threshold. You take the dose below that,
Okay.
you know, to maintain. So once you are, here's how it typically works with my clients. They come in, we do the iodine challenge test. Okay, so that's this week. We did the iodine. It said that you completely absorbed it in 4 hours. And so we dose you. Again, it only takes micro amounts of iodine. So we're not doing massive dose, okay? But we start dosing them like with a half of an iodine tablet, or if you use the Lugol drops, 1 to 2 drops. You'll put that in water and drink that. My favorite iodine supplement right now, I like Lugol's, but people don't like the way that it can stain their teeth. You know, there's all kinds of stuff, but it's iodozyme from Biotics is a really good absorbable iodine that has all of the different types of iodine in it. So that's my favorite. You start with a half a tablet. You do it for a week, and then you do the iodine challenge test again. And so if you now put it on and it lasts twice as long, you know that you probably need to adjust your dose. So I may have them take a whole tablet, and they do that for another week. We do another iodine challenge, and we continue until it lasts for 24 hours. And then we take the dose below it. And I typically don't have them take it every single day. It may be 3 to 4 to 5 days a week, but for that first few months, we're testing it a lot. And if ever they experience any kind of heart palpitations, sometimes it can make you nauseated when you take it. That may be a sign of saturation. So once you meet your saturation, then you're usually on a maintenance dose of about a half a tablet 2 to 3 times a week.
So you want to get to that saturation, and then you bring it down to maintain it. Because if you're deficient, then you're deficient, and so
Right.
you want to bring it to you want to get it to that place, but you don't want to do it too fast either. And so if you're feeling other symptoms, the bottom line is we need to listen to our body. Are there any absolutely, if this happens, then definitely you are deficient? Like, for example, is there like a, like something that happens on your skin, like a spot on your skin, or, it's
very, they're not necessarily. I think that the fatigue, it's because it's symptoms that are very general with other types of deficiencies. It's really hard to tell if you have an iodine deficiency versus a vitamin B deficiency. So that's why you just have to really test. But most of the population, especially women, we tend to be more on the deficient side. But I just encourage everyone, you don't have to pay the expensive test to check your iodine levels. You can if you want to, but this is just a simple, easy, at home, still can't get it open, at home way to test for yourselves. Of course, ideally, you want to work with a naturopath or a functional doctor who can, help you figure out the dosing. It's hard to always, know exactly what your body needs. So getting some, help from a professional would be wise. But this is something very simple that a lot of us can do. And then stop eating things that have, certain chemicals or contaminants in it that's stripping us, so the processed breads that you're getting in the stores, they are stripping you of iodine. Make sure that your water is filtered, and you've got something to get the fluoride out of the water, the chlorine out of the water, the bromine out of the water. So a lot of people are switching more to these bromine filters in their pools because they know chlorine's bad, but they all strip the body of iodine. So those are just some things that you can do to help yourself.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So one last question about that, because I hear people say, well, I have spinach and I have this and I have different foods. Are there different foods that promote more iodine absorption in the body than other things? What would you say?
Yeah, it's more of the animal products, the dairy. So, you know, when you're not eating those, you're going to be deficient. So you just need to supplement with it. But there are a lot of greens that have iodine, kelp, sea vegetables, all of those are good sources. I do run across a lot of people who are taking in so many different sources that they have got to a toxicity level, you know, so you do want to be careful with, you know, don't go out and start eating sea vegetables or kelp, you know, massive doses and then taking an iodine supplement and then, you know, doing, because it only takes a small amount of iodine to get the body, you know, what it needs. So
Okay.
imbalance can be bad too. So deficiency definitely bad, but if you get toxicity, that can be bad too. So
This is funny. Robert opened it for me, but he left this one spot. Look at this one spot that is like stuck. And I okay, because here we go. Here we go. So how many drops do I put on my cotton swab?
Well, you just put one. You put it on your skin, just drive it in with your cotton swab too.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna put this on here. Just gonna
And you
do a
want to
show
do
and tell.
it the lightest part of your skin.
You see it?
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So let me do it again. Where did I?
Yeah.
Well, I don't see it anymore. Let's see if you, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I still see
Okay,
it.
okay. So I'm gonna do it so that I can, and we schedule the time. Let's look at the time. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Well,
And the time is 12:32. See, this is how you learn in the Lillian McDermott radio show is what you do. You don't just say, I'm going to try. You actually do it. And here it is. Here's my iodine. It looks like it's disappearing pretty fast. So we'll see. It's still yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was much lighter now. Okay. Is there anything about iodine that we need to discuss before we move on to the next? And by the way, for those of you who have questions, make sure you type in a Q, write your question down, and we will discuss it before we go.
No, I think we talked about most of the exposures with being the drinking water, dental cleanings to, because they're cleaning your teeth, they're using, well, if you let them, they're using the fluorides to clean.
Okay. Okay.
So you would want to take some iodine after that procedure if you're going to let them do that. I typically don't let them use the fluoride on myself.
Yeah, I haven't used fluoride in, oh my gosh, in so many years.
Yeah.
Okay. So with
That's
that in
amazing.
mind, we're going to keep an eye on my little thing that I have here. I can see it, and I will let you know. So if it's between 3 to 4 hours, I'm good. If
No,
it's before 3 to 4 hours.
24 hours. So if it's still there in 24 hours, you're saturated, you don't need. If it's less than 24 hours, you need supplementation.
Okay.
So the longer it is, the less supplementation you need. So
Okay, great. Okay, so what's next, Dr. Jen? What is the next and that you've been hearing more that could be fact or fiction we're confused about?
Well, I think a lot of people believe that enzyme therapy is just for gut health, and that's not true. I mean, a lot of us do need enzymes to help us digest our food, to get absorption. Most definitely, it's associated and produced by the pancreas, but enzymes are proteins. And so depending on when you take enzymes or when your body produces enzymes, or if it's able to produce an adequate amount of enzymes, really determines our health too. So it can lead to anything from neurological disease, digestive disorders, osteoarthritis, other types of arthritic disorders. So most of us do need digestive enzymes. And you can get them different ways. That's why I'm a big advocate, Lillian, of juicing, because you get a lot of the enzymes from juicing. that will go into the bloodstream and clean up all the inflammation in the blood and in the lymph. But yeah, so that was one of the things, the concern I had. People think, oh, well, I don't get bloating, I don't get GERD, I don't need digestive enzymes. But we all do, because the food industry, the soil is so depleted, not only of nutrients, but of the enzymes that our body needs in order to digest our foods and get absorption. Yes, your body creates enzymes, but you also need them in the foods to get absorption. And that's why so many Americans and worldwide people are so malnourished. They can be obese, overweight, but they're malnourished at the same time.
Okay, so with digestive enzymes, the first thing I think of is our saliva. Doesn't our saliva reactivate the enzymes in our vegetables and everything? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Right. So in the saliva, you produce amylase, which is an enzyme to start to break down carbohydrates. And so with that enzyme, it's so critical that, and I laugh because I'm terrible with this, is to slowly chew your food and mix that amylase in with your food. So you start the breakdown of the carbohydrates in the mouth, and then the rest will be broken down in the stomach. And so, yeah, that's part of the problem, is people aren't breaking down the carbohydrates in the mouth because they're not chewing their food. I was raised in a household where my mother would, make dinner, put it on the table, but she couldn't stand the mess. So she'd be cleaning up as soon as she put it on the table. So we had to eat really, really fast. And it's been hard to break myself of that. But, that's why you really need time. Don't eat your food in front of the TV. Sit quietly, and be mindful of your food and what it's doing, for your body, and be grateful for the food that you're getting, and eat food that's going to actually nourish the body. And so, yeah, amylase is the first enzyme in the saliva. And then you have protease, which breaks down proteins. There's a lot of enzymes. So these are the main digestive enzymes: amylase, protease, lipase. Breaks down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Lipase is what breaks down fats.
Okay, so amylase, you said carbs?
Carbs, protease, protein.
Animal protein, okay. Or could it be
Any
like
protein.
avocado protein, not just animal protein?
Well, you would need that plus the lipase for the fat. Mhm.
Okay, and
So
then the
it's a
lipase
protein.
for fat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Lipase
very
is
good.
fat.
And
So
that is
that's-
something that comes from the food or comes from the saliva alone? So
So your body
it's-
produces it. Unlike iodine, which we have to get only from food source, your body does produce these digestive enzymes. Is it almost gone? Your iodine? Oh, no, it's still there.
They're still there. They're still
Okay.
there.
I was going to say, you're very deficient.
Headlines.
So with the enzymes, your body does produce the enzymes. You also have to have enzymes in the food to digest the food.
Okay.
So that's what we're really lacking. There's multiple issues with our digestive system. Our blood sugars, because a lot of people walk around, they're pre-diabetic or diabetic, that insulin spike in the blood will affect your pancreas' ability to produce digestive enzymes. So you'll have a deficiency there. The same environmental contaminants that affect the thyroid and, block the iodine absorption, that causes other endocrine, and your pancreas is one of your endocrine glands. So it will cause dysfunction in that pancreas so that it's not producing enzymes. So you really have to get those environmental toxins out of your system. And then the soil is so depleted of enzymes and the nutrients that if you look at our food source today versus, back in 1930, 1950, it is a different food. We have lost a lot of the nutrients, and that's why we're having to consume if you want to be healthy, you have to consume 12 to 15 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, which used to be 3 to 6, so it's a big difference. And so it's definitely, and one thing that people don't realize, because I know people look at the RDA and they determine how much nutrients. The RDA is based upon the nutrient need of a person that is healthy. Okay. Well, that's not most of the population. So, that's the minimum for a healthy person. That's what they need to supplement in their diet if you're healthy. But a sick person, a person diagnosed with a chronic illness or autoimmune disease, then they're going to need a lot more than that. So you can't go by just the RDA recommendations.
Wow. And so that leads to also there are certain vitamins, like you were talking about, vitamins that we don't produce ourselves, like vitamin C.
Right.
Let's talk about that. So did you cover everything with the digestive enzymes or the enzymes?
Well,
for our
I
gut
will
health?
tell you some quick things to, some ways you can get enzymes from your food without having to take extra supplements.
Okay.
Is, apple cider vinegar is full of enzymes. A lot of people don't realize that, but a lot of people take apple cider vinegar when they have GERD, and it gives them release. Is because of the enzymes in the apple cider vinegar. Also, you can take a digestive enzyme. I will tell you my favorite brand is Loomis. Dr. Loomis was the father of enzyme therapy, and his formulations are remarkable. But that's for people who have a really chronic, issue with enzymes. That's because they're pricey. So the rest of you who maybe have some GERD, maybe have some acid reflux, maybe a little bloating, there are some other enzymes with the amylase, protease, lipase that you can get that, like Enzymatica is a great one. It's called Digest. My favorite company right now is the Doctor's Food Research company. It's so clean, and that's something hard to find, is a supplement company that doesn't have any fillers or chemicals or toxins in their supplements. And so this is a really clean, and they have a great line of enzymes as well that are less expensive, that work really well too. So people with chronic issues, I put them on Loomis, everybody else goes on the other. So
Isn't there like an ingredient, a filler ingredient called magnesium stearate?
they're
That's
putting
not
in
good.
everything. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
putting in
it's
everything. Yeah.
to not take it if it has that magnesium
Yeah.
stearate. Okay.
There's multiple. We should do a show. We actually
Okay.
do a show on what
Fillers.
to look for in your supplement, because there's a lot of toxins in supplements today. And the cheaper they are, the more likely they're going to be full of the fillers. But even some of the companies that I have used for years started using those as fillers, and it's counterproductive. So
Yeah.
if you put out an iodine product and you put this competitor, like another type of mineral or a toxin in there that's going to block that absorption of the iodine, it's useless. It's useless. And I'm seeing that over and over again with some of the supplements lines. They're putting these fillers that will compete for the absorption of the nutrient we're trying to get into them.
Wow. And then you need, of course, more. You'll need, of course, more. So for those of you who are listening today, Dr. Jen has a special deal for all of us, and I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. And so, but for now, if you want Dr. Jen's information, if you're a subscriber, you already have it. It is in your blog. All you have to do is click onto the link and it'll take you straight to Rightway Health and Wellness. And also you can go to shop rightwayhealth.com, and you the products that she's been talking about most likely are there. So today I'll tell you a little bit more about that, about the product, the 50% off that she's offering for a scan that could be done virtually. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I want you to make sure that you subscribe to the classroom. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe while you're there. Tell all your friends to do the same. Like and follow me on all social media. And this will allow you the opportunity to just click and not even have to write things down. You'll know who's in the classroom first. I want you to go to our sponsors, support our sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. Dr. Jennifer Gramith of Rightway Health and Wellness is a sponsor of the classroom, and we're so grateful to her and excited that she's going to be at the next summit. And we're just talking about the summit that she's going to be coming down. We're trying to figure out the location right now, but it's going to be a great one. It's going to be even better this year and or next year. And so go there, support Dr. Jen and all the other sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. You could go to the Shop Now bag. There's so many things that you can purchase. You can go to the workshops. We have Dr. Jen's gallbladder liver cleanse. We've done the juicing. We've done so many things together. It's just been amazing. I want you to click on there and learn about the EVOX and all the other things that she is promoting. So please support her. And you'll also get 20% off your supplements. If you're a first-time purchaser, just make sure that you claim it by putting Lily 20. You can go to my Shop Now bag and find all the products that are Lilly approved. And finally, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month. You can donate your time, your talent, your treasure. And keep in mind that tomorrow is the start of the I Am the Solution workshop. And if you have not registered, it is time to make that decision. Today, we're talking to Dr. Jennifer Gramith. And you can find her at Rightway Health and Wellness. You can find also the products that we're talking about at shoprightwayhealth.com. If you want to call them because you have some questions, you can call 404-474-2100. Now, today, Dr. Jen, I am so grateful to you as always, but you're coming with an even deeper discount for this AO scan. What is that and why would we use it?
Right. So, we talk about all of these issues with deficiencies and, the first thing people say, well, how do I know? I mean, you asked that. Well, how do I test it? So the AO scan is a Russian technology that they use on their astronauts to look at the deficiencies and imbalances in the body. It goes as far as looking at their organ and gland function, their blood work, just through taking a picture of their face and a voice analysis. And so they monitor their astronauts with this technology while in space. And so it's very amazing. It's a quantum physics type of technology. And I have done it, compared it up to the labs, and it is dead on. So, kind of like feedback ZYTO. It's typically a couple of $100 for the scan. We're giving a 50% discount all the way through the end of May for anyone who says that they heard about it on the Lily McDermott show. So that is something, if you're curious and you want to know, am I iodine deficiency, B12, B1, B6, all of those critical nutrients, it does a nutrient panel. And again, we will put together a protocol for you based upon those results. So you get all of that with the scan, and it's simple. It's a simple,
very nice
scan. It'll also give you an emotional downloads to listen to bring your emotional health and mental health back into balance as well. So
you're like Inspector Gadget. Every time we talk, you have something new at your clinic. This is exciting. And the good thing about this is that people can call from anywhere. Is it from a phone? Is it from, how do you just do a recording and send it to?
You can do it. You can just call the office. The office can record your voice. And then you just send a, picture of that day, not an old photo. It has to be a current picture of yourself. They'll upload it into the database with your voice recording, and that will do the scan. So, yeah.
But is there anything that could alter that? Like, for example, I remember when I was doing my, was it the EVOX? I think, no, not the EVOX, the other one, the ZYTO. I was doing the ZYTO and my feet were on a grounding mat. and the results were kind of like off. Is there anything like maybe talking on the phone that could cause the distance to damage the results?
No, because the thing is with the ZYTO or the biofeedback, your hands on the cradle, it's sending information to the brain. So it works on a different level. So anything, if you're on a grounding mat or you have the aqueducts under you, or you have some kind of EMF exposure that's really high, that can skew the results of the ZYTO. However, with the voice analysis, it doesn't. So it's basically, yeah, because your voice tones is what determines the imbalances in the body.
Wow.
And they do, how back in my nursing career, Dr. Blackwelder taught us how to look at the signs on the face. And so you can read the body just through looking at the face, like when you have lines in between your eyes, that would be issues digesting animal fats and proteins. The shape of your teeth, determines certain mental health issues. It's amazing what the body can tell you if you know what to look for. And so it does the scan of your face, it listens to your voice, and it does a full, complete analysis.
Wow.
And so here at the office, we typically do the AO scan, heart rate variability, and a biofeedback with labs, and we compare them all. And so I look at this comparison, every day for, hundreds to thousands of clients.
Wow.
And it's just like dead on. So you can take what the ZYTO says and what the AO scan says for blood work, and it will be matching the actual labs. So I like to look at all of that data and not just rely on one modality, but it's proven itself to me. So
wow. Okay, so now I've got a follow-up question about the face. So let's say, for example, body makeup, makeup that is permanent makeup is a trend. Will that alter the picture?
No.
Okay, good. Okay.
No.
So those of you that have a rose tattoo on your face, you're good too. So
Yeah.
George Foreman is good.
Probably metal toxicity will show up because most of those tattoos are high in heavy metals. So you don't be surprised when you have high mercury, high cadmium, and high lead in your body, which are known endocrine disruptors that compete with iodine. So if you have tattoos, you probably are already iodine deficient. You're probably deficient in a lot of the critical, nutrients the body needs. So,
well, permanent makeup may not be like ink. It might be just they do something else. It's a different product. So I'll have to find out. I have to do a search on that one. Well, good. I was just wondering, because you were saying a scan of the face and the voice, and I'm thinking, okay, what could alter the results? So if it's infallible, that's really good. Okay, so let's continue on. Is there anything that we need to talk about gut health before we move to vitamin C?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's move on to vitamin C and how horrible it is for people.
I mean, how many times do you hear,
all the time,
don't take, vitamin C because it can cause kidney damage, liver damage. If you have cancer, don't take it. You hear all of these things, and when you start to go research them, it's like there's nothing to back it up. Now, I will give you this. You take massive amounts of anything, you can throw your body out of balance and it can cause damage. But they take, the 1 or 2 incidents of someone overdosing, and then they, paint the whole population with that. And so, if you were to do high dose vitamin C for a long period of time, however, I don't know how you could without it causing severe diarrhea and cramping. All of that would happen before it caused them massive.
But the bottom line is that what they're looking at is perhaps dehydration with extra vitamin C, along with other issues. It's no different than what happened in the final pandemic. If you went in for a car accident and you had the sniffles, you knew what they were going to write on their report for.
Right.
So to me, I to me, when I got off all my asthma medication and swapped it for vitamin C, the asthma medication could have killed me.
Right.
And that could have been the side effect. That could have been the overdose or whatever. But the vitamin C, if I get diarrhea because I took a little bit too much, I can handle that.
Right.
But and
then that's your threshold.
That's your threshold.
Yeah. Underneath that. And another thing too is that, there's such that fear because of just with the animal study with the two doctors who, found a threshold of a 0.2 microgram iodine. They based the whole population on that, which was a failed study anyway, that later proven, because the Dr. Abraham actually did therapeutic doses of iodine for 3 years on those 4,000 patients, never once getting to toxicity level. So that's huge. So anyway, with the vitamin C, doctors aren't even, dentists should be recommending that when they see that the patient has periodontal diseases, swelling and bleeding gums is a vitamin C deficiency. Well, we've known that for decades and decades, but do they prescribe? No, they're doing their procedures, they're doing everything but prescribe a simple critical nutrient that your body has to have in order to function properly. And so that's the problem. It's like, either they're 100% on board or they just totally knock it out and don't want anybody to supplement it's not that they tell them not to, they just don't suggest it when they're seeing the symptoms appear right before their eyes, but they're no longer trained to recognize vitamin mineral deficiencies, because in the medical model today, they're not concerned with that, because they still believe that because they put iodine in salt, everybody has enough iodine. They're not even measuring the levels. There's some studies now that show up to 30% of the population is iodine deficiency. But even with those studies, they're not making changes in their recommendations that I have seen, yet. Same thing with vitamin C. Vitamin C is something that most people need to supplement, especially if you drink alcohol. Alcohol depletes just a glass of alcohol will deplete your vitamin C levels for that day. If you drink a glass of wine every night, you better be supplementing with vitamin C every day. If you're a smoker or around secondhand smoke, you need vitamin C. It's just these simple things that a lot of the population has issues with. And so I definitely think that, most people do need to supplement with vitamin C. If you don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you should be supplementing with vitamin C. So
it's amazing. You mentioned earlier that we don't get enough nutrients in our food. And even if you're vegan, plant-based, whole food, plant-based, there's still a need at times to supplement.
Right. Yeah. The ones that maybe don't need it are the ones that are actually eating the 12 to 15 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. But how many people do you know that are doing that? It's not the majority of the population, it's the minority.
I tell you what, this has been so fast. This has gone so fast. let me give you let me see if you can see it. You can still see it?
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit, but you can see, I'm going to probably do a bigger
area
tomorrow morning. Bigger area tomorrow. I just want to check it out, and all of you should try that as well. And if you have any questions, you can call 404-474-2100. Again, shop rightwayhealth.com, rightwayhealthandwellness.com, and just like I said, 404-474-2100. Give them a call. And remember to get the AO scan. You get 50% off, and that's a $200 scan at 50% off. That's $100. Go for it. Tell them Lily sent them. So thank you so much, Dr. Jen. You are an amazing woman, and I am so excited that not only are you a sponsor, but a friend. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Jennifer Gramith, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. I had to go that real
The opinions
fast.
and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Dr. Jen, you have some time for some questions, to answer some questions.
Yes, I do.
Okay, awesome. So I have reoccurring issues with my right shoulder, but don't know if it's a direct injury or maybe an oxygen is blocked and nerve is trapped. Is that enough information for that?
What's the question?
Is it an, I don't know if it's if it's a block or nerve. Block, if it's an organ that is blocked or nerve is trapped.
Yeah, so
Okay, let me read that. There's several questions. Let me see if
Okay.
it comes through all of it. So, let's see. Can I take turpentine for detox from nanographene, hydroxide from the jab? I don't know if you're able to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things that are a detox will deplete you of a lot of minerals and vitamins. So you just need to be aware of anything that is detox related. What is it going to pull out of you? What is it going to compete with? What are the essential nutrients that you may want to supplement with? I'm not, it depends on the situation, what types of detox and, how turpentine is pretty strong. And can have some side effects, usually start slow, so I wouldn't do it without working with a practitioner on that. So you can
Have you ever worked on people with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
So,
are options though.
with the reoccurring issues, Dr. Jen, I always think of, when there's a problem with the shoulder, I go back to when I had my automobile accident with Avazia. Avazia is I remember working on you after the summit, and it's an amazing tool that can measure where the pain is coming as well as dissolve the pain. If you go to my website at whenyouneedafriend.com, you'll be able to just go to my shop now bag, go to the first alternative therapies, and you can learn more about Avazia. It's an incredible tool. Is there any product that you have at Rightway Health and Wellness that can measure the difference between an organ that's blocked or a nerve that's trapped?
So you can see that type of information on the AO scan or the biofeedback. You can determine what's the cause. It's an inflammatory condition, more than likely. And so, it's settling into the right shoulder. There's different reasons for that. It could be from an old injury. There's a weakness there. It could be emotionally connected. Your right side, if you're right-handed, has to do with spouse or the male figure in your life. Carrying something on your shoulders, you're carrying things that don't belong to you, so you're trying to carry someone. So there's that as well, but you still have to deal with the inflammatory state of the body. So there is a product from food research called Inflammazyme that works really well to reduce inflammation. Taking an Epsom salts peroxide bath, you'd have to get down into that, would be helpful because the magnesium would help. And I throw peroxide in there because a lot of times it'll pull toxins out and you don't want to reabsorb them. So the peroxide kills the toxins that are pulled out into the bath water. The magnesium will help to relax the muscles and help decrease the inflammation. And you can also use castor oil packs on that. So to see if you got any relief. But again, if you want to know what's the cause, you do the AO scan or the biofeedback.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Should we take iodine for chemtrail poisoning? We are receiving virtually everywhere, every day now, as I hear, strontium, barium, aluminum is being used.
Yeah, and they're all competing for the iodine. So, ideally, yes. Yeah. So you're going to, if you're exposed to the chemtrails, and you're depleted, you should be supplementing. Most people should be for that reason. Yeah. So, but again, you want to know what your dose should be. There's a few products that I reckon, I did a lot of research back when I started to develop my own line of products, because I wanted to develop a line of products that the majority of the population needed. So what is the majority of the population deficient of, and what's their issue? So if you could just have like an essential kit, what would that be? And it was vitamin C, iodine, probiotics, enzymes, antioxidants. So if you just supplement with, and I created, and this is coming out next week, Lillian, I created a Dr. Jen's Immune Essentials. And so it's going to help to strengthen your immune system, but it also knocks down the inflammatory patterns and increases your immune response time. So the majority of the issues that the average population has can be covered with that one kit.
And so are there multiple pills in there, or is it one pill that handles everything?
It's a kit. So it's got the Dr. Jen's Vibrant C in it, which is a plant-based C, 30 times stronger in vitamin C, or 30 times more effective vitamin C than just the average vitamin C out there. The BioBalance is a pre and probiotic that has 18 different strains, which is very hard to find. Good probiotics with a lot of different strains in it. And then the green tea complex for the antioxidants, but it's not just green tea, it's green tea with a lot of other chelators that help bind these toxins that are contaminants and take them out of the body.
Wow.
So it detoxes you. And then Dr. Jen's Immuno Blend, which is the antimicrobial. So this helps to pair the gut microbiome, to boost the immune system, to decrease inflammation. There's enzymes in the probiotic and prebiotic formula, so you get your enzymes in there as well. There's iodine, everything you need almost.
Wow. And that's coming out next week. So for those of you who would like your own Dr. Jen's Immuno Essentials, all you have to do is contact Rightway Health and Wellness. You can call them at 407 I'm giving you my phone number, 404-474-2100, or you can go to Shop Rightway Health and get it directly there. Make sure you put Lily 20 to get your 20% off, because this is a big deal. Congratulations on this. I know you've been working on this for a while.
Yes,
Okay, I have one more question and then we're done. My son had terrible stomach pain after clam chowder food poisoning 5 years ago, which involved vomiting. Are his enzymes messed up? He's had a lot of tests, including upper, it says HI scan, but I'm thinking GI scan is probably what it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, does she have a diagnosis of GERD or anything? Dysbiosis? I mean, does he have symptoms today?
I don't know. Carla, can you respond to that? Because we don't have much time. But while she's
still symptomatic, so he may have had an acute exposure to a bacteria.
That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago.
Yeah. So more than likely the microbiome of the gut is just really out of balance due to the overgrowth of the bad bacteria. They may have given him antibiotics, it's hard to say, and that would knock down some of the healthy gut flora. And so it could be that, it could be digestive enzymes, because if you don't have the good bacteria in the gut, it's going to affect your pancreas' ability to produce the enzymes needed. You have to look at his insulin levels too. So it just, there could be a lot of things. And you would just I'd have to know a little bit more about what's going on, what his symptoms are today, versus the 5 years.
There's been no diagnosis, and it was GI. So can they call 404-474-2100 and speak to someone to kind of like where they can share a little bit more about what the history, because it's hard to be able to, look at history when I know how much time you spend
Right.
on with a question is nothing compared to how much time you spend with a patient to
Right.
look at the history. So Carla, go ahead and call. So I think your G, Carla, is not working well. It says sometimes I think gallbladder.
Gallbladder.
The gallbladder. Okay. But yeah, so that is we have the gallbladder cleanse, it's a 3-day fast and the 1-day cleanse with Dr. Jen. She directed all of us. It was such an amazing time with her. We have that in whenyouneedafriend.com. So Mark says, my daughter suffers with migraines, with vomiting. Is there any supplement or food she should avoid? That's again, those are questions.
There's a lot of things. And you can neutralize those sensitivities once you know what they are. So I would say again, you can when we do the AO scan, we test their allergies and sensitivities to all the popular foods. We look at their gut enzymes. We look at the probiotics in the gut. What's out of balance? What are they missing? Is it acidophilus? Is it this? So it can pinpoint what is going on and how to correct it instead of just guessing and throwing this supplement and this supplement at it. If you've already tried taking probiotics and you've taken different things like that and it's not worked, you need to get to the bottom, get the testing done.
Can the AO scan help with that, finding out what the son has and what the daughter has, and would children be able to do this?
Yes, because
okay, good.
All you have to do is record their voice. Like I'm going to show you what it looks like, a test. This test looks at gastrointestinal functions. It looks at bacteria. It looks at inflammation, oxidation. It looks at insulin resistance, amino acids, probiotics, prebiotics,
wow,
vitamins, coenzymes. I mean, you name it, it's here.
I'd like to take that test. I'd like to take that. Maybe we can do a follow-up.
Sure, we can do
it. We could do a follow-up show on this one because and we could do that with the supplements that we want to avoid. And now we got figured out our next show.
And it actually tells you where in the body it's located. I mean, it's just it gives you a ton of information.
Wow.
That really helps the practitioner recommend what you need instead of just guessing all the time. We can guess by your symptoms, but you probably will spend more money trying to figure out what's the right supplement or support that your body needs than just doing the scan and then knowing.
I'd love to hear. And if you decide to do this, I'd love to hear from you and the results and how it's helped your daughter, and Carla with you as well. If you have your son do this, I'd love to hear from you as a follow-up, because this would be something I love to learn about it. I trust Dr. Jen, but I always love to, trust but verify. You want to hear that these things are good. I mean, as well. So that's it. So I want to thank you, Dr. Jen. Every time you come on, you absolutely give me something to think about. And I really would like to try that AO scan. Let me just give you a glimpse of what my arm looks like. I still have a little bit of color right there. You see it? So hopefully I'll be yellow tomorrow morning.
you text me when you figure out how many hours, and then I'll tell you what to take.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay, everybody. This has been a wonderful class. Please share it with your friends, your family, and know that tomorrow at 6 p.m., we're going to sit down and we're going to dive into, because migraines, Mark, could be emotional as well. So invite your daughter to come join us in the I Am the Solution virtual weekend workshop. That is continuing education of the soul. And that starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And that's from 6 to 9. And then from Saturday and Sunday, it's from noon to 6. And we really dig deep so that we can discover all that. Maybe in the future, Dr. Jen, we'll throw in an AO scan if they come to the workshop. That way they can do the emotion and all the other stuff. We'll make it happen. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.